Hello, hello. I am Evelyn Zuel, and welcome back to the Mystic Parlor podcast and channel. And today I am pumped to talk to you about the new moon in Virgo. Why? Because there's a lot of special traits about this new moon, and I'm going to dig into all of the details about that. But first, I want to share with you that I have a new Astro Transit Club / course that I have launched and will be meeting for the first time on Monday, September 18th at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. This is a bi-weekly astrology meetup group where I will offer a lecture on astrology pertaining to the current transits at the time, and then we'll have the opportunity to look into our charts and learn about that transit and how it affects us. The way that we learn a new language or a new skill, I believe, is pertinent to being able to communicate and verbalize that information. So that's why I think it's really important to connect with other people, to talk about what you're learning, to be able to formulate sentences in order for the information to really stick and grasp. And that's what this meetup is all about. So if you'd like to join, it's $25 per meeting, and when you enroll, you are agreeing to enroll for an 8-day or 8-meeting course. So each season we will meet. So each like in the fall. So this is the fall season that's starting, and we'll meet until January. So every other Monday. All the information is on themysticparlor.com. So if you go to themysticparlor.com and look up the Astro Transit Club link, you will find all the details there. I often get asked when I will teach a class or teach a course, and to be honest, my style of teaching is more casual, and I like to help people learn through understanding their own charts, which is not a common practice. Oftentimes when you're learning astrology, you won't even get to look at your birth chart, but it's what has really helped me to grasp and understand the transits and what they mean in my life and how to interpret them more deeply. So I encourage everyone to join. I'm really excited to offer this new class. So, okay, getting into the chart. So the new moon is at 21 degrees 58 minutes in Virgo. And as mentioned, it's September 14th at 6:39 p.m. 639, some good numbers there. So what this new moon features is, one, a grand Earth trine between Pluto in Capricorn and Uranus in Taurus. I am pretty excited about this grand Earth trine because what grand trines mean and represent is a steady, solid flow of energy between 3 points or planets. And what that grants us or offers us is a powerful time for accessing skills, gifts, qualities, traits, and opportunities that may otherwise go unnoticed. When you have a grand trine in your birth chart, there's a lot of different variations of how to interpret that. But the way I've seen it show up for people most of the time is it happens to be a skill or a talent that someone has that they were naturally gifted with that tends to be something extraordinary, but they oftentimes will not realize how extraordinary that gift is. So with trines, it can equate to missed opportunities sometimes because it could be something that is overlooked for how easy it was or easy that it is to access that energy. So with the new moon featuring a grand trine with Pluto and Uranus, it's important to take the opportunities as they come and not consider it as something that is just a happenstance or synchronistic or coincidental situation, but that is a very potent and special opportunity to take hold of. Don't let the opportunity miss you or pass you by. And that means looking out for the good, looking out for the positives. And that's a really wonderful trait with the new moon in Virgo. Because let's be serious about the new moon in Virgo, or let's be honest rather, is that Virgo has a tendency to look at what's missing or the negative detail. And when I say negative, I mean it could mean literally negative in terms of behaviors or perceptions, but what I mostly mean is the space, the negative space, or the space in between, right? The positive space is something that's being filled with something. The negative space is what's missing. So oftentimes Virgo will be focused on the detail that's missing or out of step or out of alignment or that doesn't make sense in a sequential order. And when you have a grand trine with Virgo, then it means that it's possible to be looking for the negative and not being able to see necessarily the positive. The 21st degree in Virgo is associated with it's the beginning of the last decan of Virgo. And the last decan of Virgo is connected to the Ten of Pentacles. And the Ten of Pentacles, wonderful opportunity, a completion of a project or a fulfillment of of your work that you're doing or of a skill set that you're developing. So you're coming into a completion, a finalization, or a manifestation, as grand trines would uh, bring with the work that you are doing on a day-to-day basis. Let's talk about the other planets associated with the grand trine. Pluto, which is in Capricorn, is that power, that placement of power, and it's in the sign of authority, success, ambition, goals. And then Uranus is in Taurus, which is stability, practicality, beauty, and art, and also the connection to the physical earth plane, or our senses, our sensuality. So there's a beautiful merging, coming together with all of these three energies of the earth to create a wonderful, abundant expression. The added element of Uranus will create a bit of an unexpected or surprising turn of events, and Pluto can make the worst seem not so bad. So that's what's really great about this grand trine. The other thing about grand trines too, however, is that we can fall into complacency, like I alluded to earlier. The complacency of being accustomed to or used to something, and so therefore taking it for granted. That's what's just most important to take into consideration with this new moon, is to not take things for granted. And that may very well be what the new moon is teaching us and instilling within us, as new moons represent planted seeds. So it could be that this new moon will represent areas in your life where you should acknowledge where you have taken advantage of or overlooked certain skills that you have and certain gifts that you have that are very pertinent to the development of the collective consciousness or the evolution of society, that you embody and you inherit some really wonderful qualities that can be useful to humanity and that can be of service to the growth and evolution of the collective unconscious. So Pluto, if we think of just power, is Pluto. Pluto is bringing up to the surface something that was hidden or stored deep below the surface. Uranus is creating a catalytic shift or change in perception. And Virgo is the ability to utilize all of the faculties for some sort of productive endeavor. So when you put all those things together, for us on an individual level, it just goes back to acknowledging what deep, inherent, latent skills that you have that maybe you've been neglecting for yourself. The sun and the moon in Virgo together are establishing our importance with our work and also allowing us to see how we can utilize and best understand our place in our role in society. Going towards a bit of the health aspects associated with Virgo, this also could be a time where you find insight and a piece of information or a really important, necessary, I don't know, support or awareness or even a friendship or a relationship that is helpful to your wellness journey. And also take into consideration on this new moon how far you have come and also how much you have evolved and how much you have healed thus far. It's important to take a moment to acknowledge and reflect on how much progress we've made, which is a part of the grand Earth trine. So don't take for granted what you've already accomplished. Don't take for granted what skills you've already developed inside of you. And see that as a wonderful stepping stone to pushing you into the next level of evolution. We are also getting to, so the new moon at 21 degrees 58 minutes also is super important because that's the degree which Mercury went retrograde. This is the moment that Mercury went retrograde back in August 23rd at 1:39 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at 21 degrees 51 minutes. And look at what we have here. It was in that grand trine degree window with Pluto and Uranus. Right when the sun entered 0 degrees Virgo. So this season is quite ripe for us to access and harness abundance. But what's so important is that this new moon is going to bring deep insights and deep, important messages regarding how we can improve ourselves and how we can better ourselves, but also how we have already been improving ourselves and bettering ourselves. The other thing about this Mercury retrograde point is when it comes to the collective in the mundane world, all of the strikes that we've been seeing, we might see some completion or some agreements finally coming through. I don't know how this pertains to anything, but I'm just going to talk about it because it's happening right now as I'm filming this. But there is a video that's going around that is showing it's a Mexican congressional hearing on these alien bodies that have been studied and researched. And this man presented these bodies to the Congress in Mexico. Is it a hoax? We don't know. However, with the new moon coming back to the point of the Mercury retrograde, I think that we will be uncovering some misguided information or some impractical information or data that has been coming out to the surface. What's interesting about this alien research, these like small alien bodies that have been presented to the Mexican Congress, is that they had previously been presented back in 2017, and now they're coming back, which is a very Mercury retrograde energy, to be presented again. So I'm wondering if this new moon in Virgo with this grand trine is also going to be a time where collectively we all come to, kind of put our thinking caps on and become investigators to see what information is coming out that's, maybe not true, a psyop, used to dissuade us or distract us from what's really important. I think there's a lot of that, of course, happening right now, because what's most important and what we need to really be focusing on, which is all Earth-based themes, is the planet, the weather, the climate. How are we going to take care of the people that need help and that need financial relief, right? Pluto in Capricorn, Uranus in Taurus. There's so many more impactful, and I mean, yes, aliens are going to change the world and the collective consciousness, but the serious things that we need to all be addressing right now is how we're going to deal with these changes happening with the environment. And whether you believe in climate change or not, that's not a part of the discussion. And quite honestly, I don't care, because the truth of the matter and the fact of the matter is that hundreds of thousands of people are being displaced due to the fact that there's extreme weather happening right now. And so I think this new moon is also going to open our eyes to that fact that we need to cultivate and create a sense of communal support and communal care for what's going on with these earth changes, Uranus and Taurus. So I'm hoping that there's some solutions that come through or some help. There's floods everywhere, there's fires everywhere, there's earthquakes happening everywhere, and that should be the number one main focus, is how to get resources. Ten of Pentacles, Pluto and Capricorn, Uranus and Taurus. How do we get resources to the people to help them to live their day-to-day lives and to get back on track? So in the grand scheme of things, that's where my mind goes when I think about this new moon in Virgo, is community care and distributing resources in a mindful and very pragmatic and practical way. When it comes to the grand trines, sometimes there could be wasted energy or energy that's not accessed appropriately. So it's my hope that we don't get situations where there was missed opportunities for people to gain resources that they need or access the help and support that they need due to mismanagement, which could happen, of course, with Mercury retrograde in Virgo, Jupiter retrograde, Uranus is retrograde, Neptune is retrograde, Saturn is retrograde, and Pluto is retrograde. So it's very possible that this can be a learning experience for us collectively on how to manage resources appropriately and how to distribute them amongst ourselves in the most practical and systematic way. The other aspect of this new moon is we see there is a somewhat wide opposition to Neptune. So we have this polarization that's happening with the idealized version and then the reality. So Neptune in Pisces, so that's over here. So Neptune in Pisces is the dream, the ideal, the vision, and then the new moon in Virgo is the steps that we're going to take to get there. So this is also a powerful time to envision the small incremental steps that it takes to recognize a bigger dream. I oftentimes like to give people little little things that they can do in order to utilize the new and full moon energies, or just some journaling questions or prompts to get your mind working towards the energy of what the new or full moon is. And my prompt for this one would be to write down everything that you have accomplished within your development at this time. I know it's kind of a big, vague thing, but if you're working on an art project, or if you're working on securing a new job, or if you're working on right now trying to buy a new house or move or what have you, sit down and really dig into in the recesses of your mind all of your past experiences of accomplishing similar things, because this is going to help you to remember Mercury retrograde, the steps that it takes, or the steps that is required to get you from point A to point B, because essentially we have all done most of this before, and to varying degrees in different ways. So it's going to help you to remind you of the skill set that you have and that you can work off of to push you towards the completion or the goal or the final outcome that you're looking for. I guess along the same lines, a similar suggestion would be to write down incremental steps that you can take just on a day-to-day basis, because sometimes it's hard to, let's take taxes, for example, a horrible example, but I know that there's a lot of blocks around finance, money, and taxes. I mean, it's a grand earth trine, so of course I'm going to bring it to that place. But let's take taxes, for example. If you have a hard time, or if you have a mental, emotional, or spiritual block, I have a spiritual block around taxes, that's for sure. What is the smallest thing that you can start out with? What is the smallest step that you can take today? Maybe that's just opening the IRS website, or maybe that's just opening TurboTax. Allow that to be a completion of one step to the goal. That's what this new moon is about. It's having the seeing how each incremental step is just as equally important to the end goal as it is to finish the goal completely. What is that quote that is coming to mind? Something about it's not about the goal, it's not about finishing the goal, it's about the journey along the way. It's, again, the Grand Trine, going back to that Grand Trine, is acknowledging and appreciating or taking a moment to realize that these small incremental steps are just as important. Without them, you have no motion. You're not moving in one direction, but you're rather staying stagnant. And stagnancy is death, right? Um, let's bring Pluto into this a bit more because I think that's really fascinating. We've been experiencing this Pluto in the last degrees of Capricorn for some time. And I know we've all been waiting for the fall of Rome, so to speak, here in the United States, with Pluto, with the United States going through its Pluto return. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the new moon for the United States. So here is the chart for the United States, and the new moon, it's right on top of the United States Neptune. And that Neptune is getting trined is Uranus is forming a trine with that Neptune. So the new moon is in the 9th house of the United States chart. What this is bringing up is travel, um, foreign and domestic travel. And the fact that Mercury went retrograde on the United States Neptune in the 9th house of foreign travel, foreign lands, higher education, means that we're going to see some new progress, some small incremental progress towards potentially higher education. There might be some changes or some shifts in how higher education is systematically implemented. It would be wonderful if we actually saw the some relief, some loan relief come through for higher education, because that new moon makes a trine to Pluto in the 2nd house of money and finance, which is the United States financial house in the chart. Uranus in the 6th house of the United States chart is representing the people or the worker and the laborers. So I definitely see some unification happening or some movement happening when it comes to the labor and workforce. And there might be some wins. I'm really hoping there's some wins. Grand trines show potential for success and accomplishment. So I'm hoping that we see some accomplishment and some movement for people in the labor fields, or not the labor fields, in the realm of, the proletariat. Let's get some wins for the proletariat in this country. That'd be lovely. I see too, there might be some advancements around, not advancements, but we might start to see some improvement in the housing market too with this new moon in Virgo. With that Uranus in Taurus, which is the fluctuation, the constant fluctuation that we've been seeing in the housing markets, with the Grand Trine, we might see some way forward, or at least some conclusions or useful or helpful information regarding the housing markets and how they're moving. Whether or not that's going to be useful for you is definitely dependent on your situation and where you are. But there might be some help or aid, or at least the planting of the seed, because of the fact that our housing situation is so effed up here in the U.S. Like, there's so many houses that are empty. Meanwhile, the housing crisis is exploding. The prices of houses are going up. People can't afford them. People can't rent. So I'm hoping that maybe this will show that there is communication and there is a conversation happening in Congress around that, and potentially some path forward. I'm not interested in that anymore. This was going to be a quick video anyway, so I think that's all that I can pull so far from this new moon chart. If you have anything you'd like to add, I'd love to hear it in the comments. So please go ahead and share what you think, and also share what you have been feeling this new moon is bringing up for you. I would love to hear how you're experiencing the new moon energy. Also, if you would like to book a reading with me, you can do so on themysticparlor.com. I also have been working with clients on a consecutive or continual basis through my astro hypnosis work, and that has been very rewarding. I really enjoy working with clients on a continual basis because that's where I've been seeing a lot of change. And utilizing the astrology chart with hypnosis has been such a powerful tool to help people change their thinking patterns, change their behavior patterns, and access the deeper, truer, highest portion of their soul purpose in this life. Again, check out my Astro Transit Club. I would love for you to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to be a really great way to learn more about astrology and also your birth chart, and how to read the transits for yourself. So go over there and check that out. In the meantime, enjoy the beautiful new moon tomorrow or whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the other side.